breakup is really fresh, it is extraordinarily painful. And the reason why is because endings are very, very hard for all of us, particularly when you're ending something that's important to you, which clearly this relationship was important to you. So when I say the first step is to validate, I mean, you got to validate the feelings that you have. It's real. And so you got to understand that you're going to need time to process the breakup. You're going to be sad and disoriented for a while. You're not going to feel like getting out of bed. So the best advice that I have for when you need to validate where you're at is I'd like you to put Sam Smith on repeat and listen to sad songs. You might want to binge watch something like Grey's Anatomy, because what ends up happening when you validate and saturate those feelings of being sad and depressed and rejected and lonely is that the more sad songs you listen to, the more you start to feel suffocated by it. You can't stand it. You'll hyper-process it, and you'll want to move on into the next step. That's step 2. Step 2 is separate. So you have to delete all of their accounts. Delete them on social media. Delete the text. Delete the email. Block them. You must do this for real, for real, for real. I don't want you tempted to look. I don't want you to even think that they might be texting you, which is why you need to block. The second thing that I want you to do in order to separate is I want you to make a list of all of the things that you haven't done in the last 7 years because you've been in this relationship. Make a list of all the things that you didn't do because, quote, your whole life was weaved into his. And that's a huge mistake that so many of us make. We basically get into a relationship, and instead of it being two individuals, one of you morphs into the other person. You may have even forgotten who you are, and that's part of the reason why you're feeling so disoriented right now. The other thing about separating is you're going to be tempted to miss the person. You're going to be tempted to want to reach out to the person. I need you to have a plan B. So make a list of all the friends or family members that you have in your back pocket, and whenever you're tempted to look at that person's social media account or text your ex, I want you to text one of your friends. The final thing is celebrate. You're not ready to do that yet because you're in the stage where you need to validate your feelings. You're not ready to celebrate yet because you have not actually separated from the relationship yet. Of all the things that you didn't do or couldn't do because you were in a relationship and you're ready to move on, now it's about getting into a mindset of celebrating. And by celebrating, what are we celebrating? Well, you're celebrating the fact that you have the opportunity to actually rediscover yourself. You have the opportunity to figure out what you like. You have the opportunity to meet new people. You have the opportunity to do things that you haven't done in the last 7 years. And so the number one assignment when it comes to celebrating is every single day you got to do something for yourself. It can be something as small as buying flowers or pouring yourself a glass of wine. Don't worry about the airplane going by. We're talking about celebrating you.
Move on. Straight up, move on. Forget them. They are lying and they are untrustworthy. So move on. Now, sometimes this can be hard, especially if they've somehow tied themselves into your life, especially like, for instance, you get the kids involved in a divorce scenario. You can't move on, but you have to mentally move on. You have to emotionally detach from that human, and that's hard to do because obviously they were someone that you trusted, and the reason I know that you trusted them is because they got to a point where they were able to betray your trust and destroy you. So it's hard, but the fact that you trusted them, the fact that you had that relationship, that's even more reason to walk away. It's even more reason to move on. You got to see them for what they are. And this is an important piece right here. This is an important piece. This is something I learned as a young lad out there in the world. That person is not who you thought they were. Right? They are not who you thought they were. The idea that this person was a trustworthy, faithful companion is not true. It is not true. That person does not exist. They didn't exist, and they don't exist. It was in your head. It was in your head that this person was trustworthy and they were everything you wanted them to be and they were a faithful commandant. That is a lie. They are not that person. They have proved it. They have proved it by their actions. So, move on, and at the risk of sounding callous, get over it. Get over it. Do not dwell on what it was. And don't dwell on what it could have been. You hear when guys go through bad breakups? You know, I thought we were gonna, it's like, no, don't dwell on that. Deal with what it is right now. What that person is. Deal with reality. Accept reality. And be thankful for reality. Be thankful that you were able to learn before you invested more into this person. Be thankful that you found out when you did that this person was a liar, that this person was unfaithful, was untrustworthy. Be thankful that you know it, and you know it now instead of later. And you know what else is going to make it a lot easier to get over these situations? Is recognize that there's plenty of people out there in the world that are trustworthy and that are faithful, good people. They're out there. Go find one of them. But don't think that person that you had was the only one in the world. They're not. And you know what? Sometimes people have a hard time making that trust because they're so caught up and they don't want to meet someone else right away. That's fine. Start with yourself. Right? Rely on yourself. Trust yourself. Because when someone breaks our trust, we question ourselves too.
Yes.
Like we think my judgment's bad. I'm not a good judge of human character because I totally put my faith in this person and look what they did to me. So now we don't trust her. So you got to build that trust up. You got to build that trust up back again with yourself. How do you do that? Read, write, learn, work out, be alone. It's okay to be alone. Some people get freaked out when they're alone. It's okay to be alone. It's okay. It's okay to be alone. There's no big deal. Enjoy it.